Hi friends, Krista here. Thank you so much for stopping by Books and Jams. Today we're going to talk about the books that I've read so far in the month of February. I had said in my goals for 2022 that I wanted to slow down my reading, and so far I'm rocking that goal. I have 5 fantastic books to share with you today. Well, most of them are fantastic, not all of them. And 4 of them are library books. And these books need to get back to the library. So I need to film this video so I can take these books back to the library. The first one that I read at the very beginning of February was No Words by Meg Cabot. Honestly, this is kind of a forgettable book. It's only been a couple weeks and I've had a lot going on. This book is a romantic comedy that involves 2 authors who are kind of hate to love-ish, which usually involves some kind of misunderstanding or miscommunication, which is not always my favorite trope to read. But in this one, they both attend a literary festival, a book festival at this library on an island in the Florida Keys. Jo, our female main character, is the author of a very popular middle grade series involving a cat protagonist who kind of comes of age and goes through all types of things that young girls go through during those years of life. And then Will is our male, who is a very wealthy, very popular women's fiction author. Reminds me a lot of Nicholas Sparks, like it's gonna make you cry type of books. Always some kind of tragic love story in his works. These 2 authors do not get along. They butt heads. There's a lot of misunderstandings and miscommunication between them. It was a fun, quick read, but it ultimately didn't really blow my mind, and I don't really remember much about it. So this is a 3-star read. Fun, cute, not really anything to write home about. Not necessarily a big recommendation from me either. The other rom-com that I read is one that's on my NetGalley, so I'm glad to have read this and I'll be able to write a review. I still haven't done that, but write a review and notch up my NetGalley percentage a little bit. This one is Well Matched by Jen DeLuca. This is the 3rd in a series by Jen. It takes place a lot at a Renaissance fair, which is very fun. There's a bookmark in there. I loved the first one, Well Met. The second one I didn't care for as much. I don't even remember the name of it. And this is the 3rd one. And in this one, we follow Mitch, who we met in the first book, and April, who is the mom from the first book. I really did like their love story, in particular because the woman is older than the man. April's older than Mitch, but he is like this brawny man's man, has a player reputation. She is very closed off and isolated. She has had her heart broken and has gone through some pretty traumatic and difficult things, and isn't very open and comfortable in large groups and situations that have a lot of people. Introverted to the extreme. There's a fake dating scenario in here, which I always love a fake dating scenario. So that was really fun. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. And it was a good kind of 3rd book in this trilogy. All the characters that we had met in the previous 2 books come back in this one. I listened to this on audio and there were some open door scenes that I would just kind of skip ahead here and there because I didn't need all of that business. But overall, I really thought this was a cute story. And I liked it. So 4 stars. I have read 2 middle grade books this month so far. And that is because these were both winners of some of the different awards that were given out on January 24th. Red, White, and Whole by Rajani LaRocca. In this one, Rhea is our main character. And she is kind of torn between 2 worlds. She's Indian American. And she, at home, is surrounded by Indian culture and her family, her language and foods and smells and all of that. And then at school, it's like she has this whole other side of her life. And she kind of feels torn between these 2 aspects of life. I really enjoy stories like this. I thought this one was well told. I didn't like it as much as Other Words for Home. But what also sets this book apart is that in this book, Rhea's mother and her have a kind of fraught relationship towards the beginning. And then her mother gets sick and they have to walk through her illness together as a family, and Rhea in particular, and all the emotions that brings up. I think books like this are important for kids, not only to see the differences and learn about somebody whose life might look totally different from yours, but also still be able to relate to it by having this situation where the mother being sick and having a loved one be ill is a very common and universal experience often for kids. So I thought that this was done really well. It is a book that's told in verse. I listened to it on audio, which is my favorite way to listen to books. That's another bookmark. I'm glad I'm checking these books, which is my favorite way to read books in verse, is to listen to them. I thought the audio was great. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 stars. Then I have a 5-star read. And this book is the winner of the 2022 Newbery Award, and that is The Last Quintista by Donna Barbahiguera. And the Newbery Award, for those who don't know, is an award given to a children's book that is exceptional every year. I am collecting them. You can't really see them here, but on this shelf up here, I'm collecting all the Newberys. This is the 100th Newbery Award winner. It started in 1922, and this is the 2022 winners. The Last Quintista is a sci-fi novel, which I don't typically reach for, but I find that I do usually really enjoy them. Petra and her little brother and their parents are chosen to go on this spaceship to populate a new planet because Halley's Comet is headed towards Earth and Earth is going to be destroyed. Both of her parents are scientists. One is a botanist and one is a geologist. And so that's going to be important as they reach a new planet and have to discover plants and rocks and they're just going to have to know all of those things. Anyways, they go on the spaceship. They are put into this kind of cryogenic sleep, frozen sleep for hundreds of years. When Petra is awakened, she discovers that there's this group that has basically had a mutiny on the ship, and they are systematically trying to destroy every remnant and memory and artifact from Earth. And Petra realizes that she still has her memories, which she shouldn't because of all that's been going on. She still has her memories of Earth, and she's the only one. Her parents really want her to get into the sciences like they do, but she wants to be a storyteller like her abuelita. And so she starts telling stories to other people on this ship. It's very cool. I love the storytelling aspect of it. I loved the ship and the space type aspects of it as well. I found it very surprising that I loved this book so much, but maybe I shouldn't. I just had never heard of it before. And then it won the Newbery, and I was like, I need to read that book right away. So this one will be on my shelves at some point, but this is the library copy that needs to be returned. 5 stars. Absolutely deserved the Newbery Award. I thought it was wonderfully written. I loved Petra and her strength in the midst of all of the crazy things that she had to go through. And also this kind of pull between what her parents want from her and what she wants for herself, and some surprises that happen along the way. I just thought that this was wonderfully done. If you are wary of sci-fi, I might suggest giving this one a try, because while it does take place in space and there are sci-fi elements, it's also really just about this girl and preserving what she believes is important. And I loved it. So good. The last book that I've read already this month, I cannot tell you what I rated it because it is one of my 5-star predictions, but I finally read What the Wind Knows by Amy Harmon, which also has sci-fi elements because there is time travel in this book. But this book makes me want to read more historical fiction set in Ireland, because this one is set in Ireland, and I really just didn't know very much about the Revolution and when Ireland and England kind of split, and then the Civil War between Northern Ireland and the rest of Ireland. All of these things are a huge aspect of this book. We follow Anne Gallagher in this one, and she has a very close relationship with her Irish grandfather. And very early on in the book, her grandfather dies and sends her to spread his ashes on this lake in Ireland. And while there, she is transported back in time to her ancestors' family. I'm not going to say much more about the plot than that, but just know that I loved Anne. I loved Thomas, his character in here. I thought the characters are just so well done. And I think Amy Harmon is just really good at telling a beautiful and very realistic love story. In all of the books that I've read from her, which are all from different time periods, she does not put herself in a box, that is for sure. Even one of the ones I read was a fantasy, but all of the love stories in her books are just so... There's a sweetness about them, but there's a lot of tension. They're just really, really, really well done. That was one of my favorite parts about this, was the relationship that was the central kind of driving force in this story. But there were a lot of side things as well. Like I talked about, the history of the Irish Revolution. I really would like to know more about that. Early on in the book, our main character, Anne, is an author, a successful author, and she is researching Ireland and the history of what happened there, wanting to tell the story. And her grandfather encourages her to tell about the people that are involved in these historical events, which she took to heart. And I thought that that's and that's really kind of what we see here. There's no bias as to which side was right or wrong. It just kind of tells some of the facts, but really we get to know some of the characters and main people that were involved in this time period in the revolution, which it takes place in 1921. One other thing that I just found super interesting about this book is that a lot of the inspiration is taken from Amy Harmon's own family and her grandfather as well, which I always love that personal connection. You could tell it just means a little bit more. And I could tell that she was very invested and loved these characters. So I'm so thrilled that I finally read another Amy Harmon. This is my 4th Amy Harmon book. She is officially one of my favorite authors. And I will tell you my official rating about this one when I do that wrap up. I still have a few more to read. Those are the 5 books that I have already completed. I can tell you that I'm currently in the middle of Codename Helene by Ariel Lahan and Voyager by Diana Gabaldon, which is the 3rd book in the Outlander series. I'm listening to both of those. I've also started the audiobook of Finlay Donovan is Killing It? No, Finlay Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead, which is the sequel to Finlay Donovan is Killing It, which is a lot of fun. But all 3 I'm listening to on audio. I don't have a print book that I'm reading right now. So we'll see what I pick up, but I would love to hear how is the beginning of your February going. Have you read any fantastic books? Is it kind of a ho-hum month for you? I would love to chat about any of those things or anything else you want to talk about in the comments down below. You guys know I always love talking with you down there. Thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me today. I really appreciate you being here, and I will be talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.